Adolf Anderseen was a leading German chess master, one of the strongest players in the Romantic era. His 1852 game against Jean Dufresen showcased a spectacular king hunt and multiple sacrifices. The game remained a timeless example of creative, attacking chess studied by players worldwide till this day. Today, we are going to be looking at such game. Here, Adolf Andersen was playing the white piece. He opened with pawn to e4. His opponent responded with e5. Andersen opted for the king's gambit with pawn to f4, forcing the French king to capture the pawn, which he does. Andersen saw this and developed his bishop spontaneously. Bishop, boom, eyeing the pawn on the king's side, which is the f7 pawn. Dufresne responded with his queen to h4. Check. This forced Andersen not to be able to castle in the long run, which he played his king to f1. Here, Dufresne played his pawn to b5, forcing or attacking the bishop. And as he captured the bishop, captured the pawn, Dufresne developed his knight to f6, and as he developed his knight to f3, eyeing or harassing the uh the queen. Dufresne moved his queen backward to h6, and as he developed his other pawn to support the uh, e4 pawn, then Dufresne developed his knight eyeing the g7, the g6, the g3 square, and as he saw this, and also developed his knight to h4, having plans of placing it on f5. Dufresne saw Dufresne play queen to h. Also, the bishop there is hanging, and as he covered that spot, then Dufresne look at this and played boom, pawn to c6, harassing the bishop, but Andersen paid no attention. He played the pawn to g4, g4 pawn on the board, attacking the knight, asking Dufresne, what are you going to do with that piece? Dufresne moved backward with knight to f6, knight to f6, placing or putting attack on the isolated g4 pawn, and as he defend that pawn, done. Dufresne allowing his bishop to hang on b5. Dufresne used his pawn to pick that bishop. Then Andersen developed the other pawn at h4, attacking and Dufresne queen. Now Dufresne have to move his queen backward, or else he's going to lose the queen on the board. Move the queen backward. Andersen developed the pawn again to h4. Dufresne have no other square than to play the queen on the g5, the g5 square, which he does, and as he develop his queen, now having different motive in mind, having different discovery in his mind, trying to take the isolated pawn, or trying to push the e4 pawn to open the square for the castle or the rook that is hanging on a8. Now you have to move his knight backward, knight to g8, and as he pick up, and as he takes the pawn, the isolated pawn, he moves He play develop the other knight on the board, eyeing the c6 pawn, eyeing the g1 the g1 rook, paying no attention, creating a mating web. Now if you watch, Anderson is creating a mating web around this king. Is making it hard for the first key to see how to come into this game. The first key hungry of materials, take the pawn on b2. Pawn on b2 on the board is gone. The first key, Anderson played bishop. Bishop allowing asking the first key to go for a bishop trade, which he refused. He play knight. He play uh bishop takes rook on g1, and that's close this square. Now with this game, Anderson is creating a mating web around the fresh king with so many sacrifices. Now his rook is already gone. He has just one rook. Let's see what the first king is going to do. The first king take the other rook, on the board. Now Anderson is under check, so you have to move his king, which does king to e2. Now the first king play knight to a6, covering or protecting the c7 square. Now Anderson went for g5 with a check on the black king. The only square I have to was the d8 square. Now here was where the magic all comes to an end. If you watch this game, the only square that the only square that black piece can be able to go to with the king, there's no square. It's trapped. The king is trapped there. And the only way that Anderson can win this game is by playing queen to f6, which he does. Queen to f6. Spectacular. What a game. What a finishing. What a blow. Now, the black piece have no other thing to play than to play the mandate, play the compulsory knight to f f6, with knight to f6 taking the queen, which he does. Then Anderson ended the game with bishop to e7. What a spectacular game. What a magic. Checkmating the opponent with just three minor pieces, two rook and one bishop. If you love games like this, amateur chess, explaining chess in depth, playing my games and following up games play century ago, please subscribe, like this channel, and I'll keep you posted. Thank you.